Yes, I've become a prima donna webcast host that I show up at the last possible moment and I make my producer so anxious. So I'm sorry about that, Tammy. I will definitely try to be on sooner.
No, it was okay. I saw that you were there. I panicked more when you're not showing up. It was just getting you to be panelists that I was struggling with, but grateful you're here. It's all good. So and like I said, I peeked at the topic for today. So
All
excited
right.
to
And of
have this
course,
conversation.
everybody jumping in, like we're all familiar with Eddie's work, and I know what he's trying to say, Eddie's style of things. So anyway, hey, it's so good to have all of you with us once again this month. And I have an interesting topic today. What I'm looking at is we're talking about objectification, but not just simply objectification, but also what I call mesmerization. So that's what we're going to look at the two of them: objectification versus mesmerization. So objectification, of course, you understand what that is. I mean, that is something that is taught to us, basically through pornography. Pornography really reinforces the idea of objectification, because what we're doing, again, we're focusing on, body parts for the most part. And again, the idea that us being, and again, we'll talk about men, because again, that's who I work with, men, being emotionally undeveloped, that also adds to the tendency that we are more likely to objectify rather than to see the person per se. Because again, what is objectification? We look at people as objects. We're looking at the body parts, and that's what we're focused on, versus again, the individual, and having respect for them. Being emotionally undeveloped, we don't focus very much on, seeing people as people. That becomes a problem, not just in the area of objectifying, but it also becomes a problem in the way that we interact and deal with individuals. If I don't see you as a person, I'm probably not going to give you the amount of respect you deserve. I'm probably not going to give you the amount of being courteous enough to hear and respect what you have to say. I may kind of just brush you off and just say, let me move on to something else. So again, it's not always just about, when it comes to objectification, about, the idea that we're just looking at people and, trying to gain a sense of gratification because of particular body styles, but it also may impact us in the other ways that we treat people. Of course, none of it is good. But objectification, as well as the idea of being emotionally undeveloped, brings a narrow mindset to what we're doing. We're focusing our attention on, as I said, a particular body part. Maybe it's breast or it's legs or buttocks, whatever it may be. That's what we are gravitating to. The rest of the person doesn't really exist. So what we're trying to do now, this is nothing more than lust. That's what it is. It is about lust. And what is the primary hormone that's going to be associated with this? That's dopamine. So when we are objectifying, dopamine is being produced in large quantities in the brain. Again, dopamine, that pleasure enhancing chemical that gives us a rush and a high. And but the thing, if we know that when it comes to objectifying, that it is destructive. And why is it destructive? Not just the fact that we are minimizing this other person and using them for our own pleasure, but also because what it does, it causes our partner a great grief. Why? Because it's leaving them feeling sometimes inadequate or they're not good enough. And so therefore they get this sense of wondering, does he want someone or something different than what I can deliver? So once again, what we're doing, we are taking our partner, our soulmate, whatever you want to call them, and we're causing emotional and mental distress because we can't look at someone and recognize, oh, that's a person. So I observe. The one last thing we'll say about objectification, there's a big difference between observing and objectification. And I think we get this confused very often. I observe, I see there are women around me. There are beautiful women. Some women aren't that beautiful. There are really attractive men. There are some not attractive men. I see them, but that's what I do. I see them. Now I just move on. Attractive, good, keep going. And that's what we need to do to be able to see that, because what I see is, although I see the attractive woman, I also see a person. She's a person. And because I don't spend that much time lingering, I can't even, make out what kind of a person she may be or not. So therefore, that's the way we should be approaching life. We don't, we have this idea, this concept of, oh, people watching. I know so many people think, oh, it's so cool to watch people. But when you think about that, what are you observing? You're looking for quirks. You're looking for things that are, not, typically normal. You're looking for, them to, are they acting in a strange way in some sort of thing, or you're going to be objectifying for the most part. So people watching, for the most part, I don't think it should be a sport that we have. Getting to know people, that would be really a better sport. So now let me turn the focus to something different, and this is what I call mesmerization. Mesmerization, and again, a woman can do this also. When a man observes an individual, but he doesn't see her as an object, but what she is instead is a source of soothing. There's something about that individual that brings this very calm effect. And it could be the face, it could be a part of the face, it could be the hair, it could be, if you're that close to her, it could be the perfume, it could be many different things. It could be the way she's dressed. Okay. And that it just brings the sense that, ooh, there's just something very calming about her. And what this leads to then is this sense of fantasy that is created within men. Because again, we get locked in this thing, this draw of, but that's what we're being. We're being drawn to this person. And the fantasy can become, oh, I could imagine what it would be like to be in a relationship with her. I bet she's so sweet to talk to. I bet she never raises her voice. I bet she would be, touching me and not sexually, because none of this is sexual, but touching me and making me feel very wanted and desired. And when this goes on, this fantasy that's happening during mesmerization, what it's doing is producing a different hormone. It's not producing dopamine, it's producing oxytocin. And what is oxytocin. And that is, it's a hormone that's produced in the hypothalamus, whatever. I'll remember it later. But it's what's known as the love hormone. It's the love hormone. And this is something that we see a lot in, what happens when a mother, is engaging with her newborn or even a toddler. that feeling they both get, that there's a connection that's going on. And I call it the goo goo gaga, hormone. It's something we definitely feel during the early stages of a relationship, when we're starting to engage with people. There is a lot of oxytocin that is being produced in our brain, which again just gives us this sense of comfort and ease. This is not about lust. This is not lust. And usually what it will be, that person that you see is actually somebody who reminds you of a nurturer, or someone you thought could be a nurturer from your early childhood years. And again, this is very, very common among people who are emotionally undeveloped. Because again, you continue to search to be fulfilled with this sense that I am desired, I am accepted, I am loved. And they can get that just from, seeing a person who, again, they have no idea who the person is. They don't know what the person is like. It's the same thing that sometimes what men will do, and scrolling through their wife's Facebook page and looking at the images of the women, just the head and shoulder shot, and still being able to come up with that fantasy. But the thing is, while they're very different, they're both very destructive. And in my conversations with men over years, I really believe that they are more likely to engage in memorization, not memorization, I'm having a hard time talking today, mesmerization, than they are being involved in objectification. I believe that that's where they spend more of their time there. So therefore they're looking, they're staring, but they're not looking at body part. They're fantasizing, about a woman. But it doesn't matter if you're fantasizing about a woman, whether it is sexually or it is emotionally, it's not healthy for your relationship. It's not healthy for you. And plus the fact is, what we're also doing, we're using that individual, you're still using them for emotional and mental gratification. So what we need to be doing as men, whether it is, objectifying, mesmerizing, we need to be able to, we get caught in that moment, stop where I need to go, and continue to move on. Take hold of that thought, take hold of that fantasy, and remove it from your mind at that moment, and continue to move on. And as I tell my men, then try to figure out, why today am I doing this? Okay, I've been, out and about for the last 2 weeks. I've had no problem. Today, all of a sudden, I'm having problems. And most likely what that's going to go back to is being drained mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. And you need to be replenished at that point. So with that, I want to kind of turn things very briefly for a moment, because of the conversation I've had with numerous clients over the last probably month or so. And this is an important topic. If you have betrayed someone, it is essential that you take the initiative in demonstrating your commitment that you care. Because I've seen a lot of it where the guy just kind of sitting back, not waiting for, the person who's been betrayed to come and initiate things or talk about something. And they're not showing much of an interest at all in trying to, hey, can I be here to help you and assist you? And I understand what's going on is fear. There's a lot of fear that's involved in all that. But it is critical, if you want to move to get to the other side, You have to be able to make that commitment and demonstrate I do care. So one major way of doing that is to be focused, stay focused, and committed to your recovery work. And I understand recovery work after a while, it starts to become like, like a routine thing. But see, that's why you have to be looking at it every day as you're doing your recovery work. It's not like, okay, well, I have to read this chapter today, or I have to do these assignments today. No, that's not the way to approach it. You should approach it as, okay, I'm reading this chapter. Let me make sure as I'm reading, what insights am I gathering that pertain to my life, pertain to my weaknesses, pertain to my challenges, and what can I do from what I'm learning, what can I do to make substantial changes? You should always be seeking out one of those nuggets that you can take with you to be able to, again, the whole idea and the whole process of transformation. Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking to transform, to become the new guy. And that's the way to approach it. And then when you've done this, to go and share. There are so many men who are so reluctant to say, hey, let me share with you what I'm learning. Now, I will tell you, there are some women who will say, I really don't want to hear what you're learning right now. I'm not in that place. Fine, that's fine. When you're ready, I will be here to share with you. But that's not the majority. Most women do want to know, what are you learning? How are you changing? How are you evolving? So therefore, to be able to put that out there and say, this is what, I've been walking away from, is really important. Another way that you should show that you are committed is that for you to initiate check-ins, to go or walk into the fire. Remember I talked about walk into the fire? You go and say, hey, tell me the pain that I've caused you. I haven't seen you. You seem to be very low key over the last few days. Talk to me about the pain I've caused. What has been going on in you? What kind of thoughts, what kind of images have you been having? Emotions, all of that. What is going on? But initiate the check-in. Be the one who is going to be driving the process. Okay, we're going to do it this day and that day. Well, guess what? This day, something else came up. Oh, you know what? I'm going to reschedule for tomorrow at this time. It's good for you. Not just, oh, all right, well, we'll get to it. We don't just get to it. It has to be a priority. I had a conversation with a couple yesterday. We got a book they're reading. Well, that they're supposed to be reading. And it's like, how are we doing with the book? It's like, oh, we've really gotten through a couple pages. There's no commitment. The commitment's not there, and he needs to drive the commitment because she wants to see, you know what, if he invested. So that's another way of doing it. Do the check-in. You walk into the fire. Remember, for you guys who have made this mess, okay, you created the pain. I know it's hard to hear. You created the pain. So now it's up to you to show that you are committed to helping to heal it. And this is not a part-time job. Oh, but I'm so busy with work. You don't understand that I take care of my son. I coach his baseball team. Blah, blah, blah. You got to find a few hours every week to be able to sit and talk about what's going on here, what's going on with you. I want to know, I want to understand, I want to be able to help you. You need to do that. It's not a part-time job. So the question then becomes, okay, so why don't you want to clean up the mess? I'll give you the word. It's shame. It's shame. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to deal with this. But I'm going to tell you, by giving into that shame, what you're doing is you are actually digging yourself a deeper hole. You're digging yourself a deeper hole. Because the message you're giving, and I know you don't mean to give the message, but the message you're giving is, I don't care. I don't care. And then, like I said, that's not what you're trying to say. You do care, but you're afraid. I'm going to go bring it up, and I'm going to get all the emotion thrown at me. And you know what? I've been reluctant, Tammy, to do a segment on shame, because I feel like shame's been overdone so many times with so many people. But I may need to just maybe talk a little bit about it, in one of our future shows. So that's all I got for you today.
Good stuff. And we've got a bunch of questions, so I don't want to take too, but I have a couple questions for you too. But you mentioned porn, but I think there are many people that it was even modeled for them, dad or whomever, older siblings, modeled that objectification and not validating people as people.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. I'm wondering, do you see that people can struggle with both objectification and mesmer? Oh, okay. You do. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not one or the other. You could also, even though it may be more of the mesmerizing that takes place for one particular individual, they could get caught up in objectifying someone. Yes.
Okay. And so just to clarify again, then, so like, if I'm struggling with both objectification and mesmerization, I can have that be directed to one individual. Like there can be the object of my lust
that's not usually the case. So if you're mesmerized by someone, it is producing, and that's because it's producing the oxytocin. Oxytocin is calming. It calms you down. Dopamine gives you the rush. Gives you the high.
Yeah.
So one person is not going to be producing both of those things.
Okay, that's what I was curious. And you were talking about staying committed to the recovery work, and I say this all the time. And I hear often from partners that he was doing really good, and then I see his actions being different, and that safety is immediately shattered for partners. But I also had a case this week of an addict in recovery who was doing well, and then he thought he had, it was that typical message of like, I got this, I don't need to keep doing the same things that worked for me. And then he relapses. Now he's going like, oh, I really do need to continue to do this. So he took responsibility, and I'm grateful for that.
Right.
But it took a relapse for him to recognize, like I got, this is a lifelong daily commitment for me, but gosh, the benefits of doing the work are immeasurable. So it's so worth it to do the work.
Right.
So,
I mean, that idea that, again, as I say, I go, we're not curing the disorder, we're managing the disorder. And in order to manage it, I have to be putting some effort into it on a regular basis. Now, when you get into 25 years like me, okay, I don't have to do it every day. But I still need to be able to be doing that self-evaluation, that self-assessment of what would get me in trouble. And if I do find myself, wow, I'm lingering too long over here, then immediately it becomes, okay, what's going on? What's wrong? Because that's not the normal pattern. What happened today? And then, like I said, I usually go back to feeling drained in one of those areas.
But that's recovery work. That's taking your personal inventory. I do that.
That's right.
and I don't have to go, I'm going to do my 10th step now. It's because it's
No.
internalized as part of it. And I still read, my daily meditation. I do something for my recovery every single day. So I
Mhm.
suspect that you are likewise doing something, on some level every single day, even if it's not going to a meeting or doing whatever.
No,
Like,
no.
it's become
Mine
part of
is
who we are.
right. Right. Mine is
Yeah.
what you see behind me. I got over
Yeah.
here on this side that you can't see. These are the books that are being read right now, currently. And again, there's no novels up here. So it is all about, again, self-reflection, knowledge, learning in that sense. And between that and again, having accountability, surrounding
Yes.
yourself with people
Yes.
that are good
Absolutely.
people that you could be. Those two things should never stop. They should never
Correct.
stop.
I'm with you. Okay, we're gonna get to the questions because you
Okay.
guys, great. Thank you for sharing your questions. In the Q&A at the bottom if you've got questions. First question: I'm struggling with understanding the difference of developing empathy and being there emotionally for my betrayed partner, but not becoming enmeshed in their emotions. Can you help me navigate this?
Yeah, but not in like 2 minutes. But the thing is this,
Mhm.
okay? So what is empathy? Empathy is you have a very strong sense of what your partner is experiencing and going through. Okay, that's very different than I'm here. I'm here for you. I know you're hurting and I'm here for you. Because one, if you do that and you're just there, then you're not going to be able, as they're telling you what they're feeling, and you being able to say, okay, so therefore, because I was 20 minutes late tonight, what you're saying is, again, you feel that, this sense that you're scared because you wonder where I have been. And therefore, again, your mistrust is growing deeper. And what you're doing, you're sharing those kind of feelings and thoughts so that you get back from, yes, that's exactly what it is. All it took was for you to pick up a phone and call me and tell me you're running late. And so, okay, so the fact that I was inconsiderate, which again demonstrates to you, I just don't, I'm not focused on you and what your needs are. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's empathy. That's what empathy is. And that's not being enmeshed in their emotion. If you get enmeshed in their emotion, what you're doing, I mean, you're taking all of those on and then you're allowing, then they become your emotion and your emotions start trumping theirs. And that's where many people who are betrayers get in trouble. Their emotions become the thing that we're talking about now. And then, the partners, they're like, well, how did this happen? How did this happen? So again, you need to be very attentive in your listening. You have to be sitting and trying to see if you can pick up emotions and then be able to validate them back. And if you get it wrong, that's okay. Don't worry about getting it wrong. All right. Okay. So, all right, that's not what you're feeling. Tell me, what is that emotion that you feel? And then sometimes try to put yourself in that place. When have you ever felt that emotion? What was that like for you? What were the thoughts that were involved with it, your feelings that came with it? And put yourself in that shoe. So that's the very short little thing I can give you to help you navigate through that.
And I put in the chat, there's work groups on the Seeking Integrity site. One of them is Out of the Doghouse, and that is, a very helpful work group, for rebuilding trust and developing empathy. It's a start. So, and then I also wanted to point out, I was going to do it later, but I'm going to take the moment now. So Eddie had developed the inner child work group. There's a new one starting on July 5th, and he won't be teaching it, but someone that he has taught will be leading that particular one. So it's a really good, if you're still struggling with acting out, start with Porn Addiction 101 or Sex Addiction 101. But for those that are looking to, how do I, what's going on, those deeper issues, doing that inner child work is a really good next step as well. So on the
Mhm.
Seeking Integrity site, but the link is in the chat. So, okay, next question. Hi, Eddie. Thanks for doing these webinars. When I'm out in public, like at a grocery store, and I run into an attractive woman, I immediately use my tools and look away immediately. I share this with my wife in our check-ins, and my wife tells me that she hopes someday I will never even notice this person. How do I respond to her? I don't know if that will ever happen.
Well, I don't know if you can't notice people. Again, I think that's observation. But I will say this to you. What helped me a long time ago, and I still use it today, is when I go out in public, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I need to accomplish. And that's my mission. That's my mission. I mean, if you don't want to go into a grocery store with me, because if you're trying to keep up with me in a grocery store, you're going to be huffing and puffing, because I'm like here, there, check out, self checkout. We don't need to go there. Boom, boom, boom. And we're back out in the parking lot before you can go boo. All right. Because I'm on a mission. I'm always on a mission when I'm out in public. And that's why I go down to Main Street here in the Highland. Okay. Which, if again, we get these large groups of women who come here for their bachelorette weekend and all of that goes on. And you know what? I'm down there, boom. But I come home, I couldn't even tell my wife what these women look like, because I'm not focused there. I'm focused on what I want to accomplish. Now, is there a time when a woman does catch my attention? Yes, that does happen. Okay. And usually what that is, it goes back to, again, there's something about her that brings me back to something when I was younger, that comforting source. You know, women with bangs pop up at me. They just pop out. You put 100 women in front of me that have bangs, and I don't care what they look like. They don't have to be attractive. They don't, but bang, there they come. They're right here. And I just notice. It's not sexual. It's nothing. I grew up with 3 women and they all had bangs. Okay. I didn't learn that until I was almost in my 40s. And I went back and I started looking at the women I married, all had bangs. Most of the women I was involved with, almost all had bangs. I never realized it, but that's what it was, because there was something that was just very comforting and soothing. Now that I have this knowledge, okay, there she is, you bang, cute, keep going. You keep going. So anyway, be on a mission, and I think that'll help you.
Yeah, I agree, and we could shop together because I'm always on a mission too. But the thing I was thinking about was the check-in. You know, like how are you both checking in, and does she want to know that level of detail? Is it like I'm struggling with some things? You know, I know people that like if you know that the grocery store is triggering for you, then calling your sponsor before, bookending, calling your sponsor afterward. There's lots of things to do,
Yeah.
but I put in the chat the check-in, and if you guys are like if you're just doing the atonement, like, okay, I looked at women today, you know, if it's the check-in isn't about feelings and ownership, like I'm wondering if tweaking, you know, how you check in would be helpful for each of you. But I mean, like, I love art, and so I appreciate beauty and interesting things, and you know, and I find people fascinating. So you know, to never notice a person, you know, and their humanity or whatever, you know, would be disingenuous of me, and so I don't know what the right, you know, thing for each of you is, but I'm also wondering if, you know, part of it is just like your wife going, oh my gosh, here we go again. He's saying the same thing over and over again, you know, but I took care of it. It's like, well, that's your job to take care of it with your sponsor and your program. So just a thought. I put the panels in there.
That you bring up a great point. And in fact, the topic was going to be about check-in today. And that was going to be one of it. What should it be? Okay. Because I see it saying, oh, she's pretty. And you said, I looked, I saw, and I walked away. You did the right thing. But when you communicate it to her, does it come across as the right thing to her? Maybe it doesn't. You know, like you said, okay, I saw her, she was attractive, and I moved. Okay. How do you not notice if a person's attractive? I mean, I'm not even close to being gay, okay? But yet I see men, I said, wow, what a good looking dude.
Exactly.
And I keep
Yeah.
moving. And I keep, but so, we have to understand if he's doing the right thing. In this case, from what he's describing, he's doing the right thing. I see, I observe, I move. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, unless you're going to take his eyes out, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to prevent that stuff from happening. And again, a lot of that is because he made you feel very insecure. Okay, he has to work on making you feel more secure to make sure that, hey, if I see a beautiful woman and I want to linger, it's going to be you. That's who I'm going to linger with.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next question. I reached the point where I told my PA spouse no mention of sex from him for 90 days. He turned, claiming he found healing in 2015, even though I caught him playing adult games in March. I mistakenly agreed he was not an addict. He is a binger. I feel like he is addicted to sex with me. He says I abandoned the marriage. I want a better relationship, but feel if he, I want a better relationship, but feel if he doesn't get sex, it will be the same old lie. I know I have issues, but need to deal with this trauma first. He's gotten very ugly. And her question is, should I cut off communication with him until we go through more therapy?
Well, I wouldn't be cutting off communication. Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're getting ugly, looking at what that ugly is and you're not feeling safe about it, yes, that may be something that you want to do here. But again, he's acting like an adolescent. What you're saying is, hey, we're going to go 90 days, not have sex with this again. That's a healing process. All right. He didn't like it. Also now, again, in March, you found him using inappropriate, thing. But, the idea that he can't use sex to try to get close to you. And yet there are many guys, they'll turn away from what they've done in the past and they wind up using their spouse to satisfy their, that sex addiction. And, that's nothing, there's no healing going on there. Okay. People have what he needs to understand is what is the purpose of sex beyond, of course, having children. It is because you're supposed to use sex to strengthen emotional intimacy between people. Okay, it's not just a physical act. It's not something that we have to have. It's not something we should be doing every single day. It is something that builds intimacy. And he doesn't understand that concept. He has to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is, and I put this quick self screen. It's not, the comprehensive thing that we use for, clients coming into treatment, but, it will give you kind of an idea on, sex addiction or not. At the very least, this feels like extremely emotionally immature, but also looking, my only connection point with you is sex, like if I don't get sex, we aren't connected. I feel abandoned, whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that, but and people go, oh, we cut off communication, and I'm like, well, how are you ever going to navigate, yes. So completely cutting off communication, what is the plan for how do you figure out, what kind of a future there is? So, but get some professional help, please. So, okay. Next question. As a follow-up to my original question, my wife says to me, so you think it's okay to look at as many attractive women as you want, as long as you use your tools and look away? Don't know how to answer that.
This you know what? This is a little different. Again, if it's like, going out there and looking at scouting beautiful women, but then I turn away, which I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but that's the impression that she has. Her impression is, oh, she's pretty. Oh, wow, look at her. She's nice. Ooh, I really like her. That's the impression she has. But again, you're turning away. So again, what you have to be demonstrating to her is, I go out in public, it is not my intention to scout out any women. I'm not going to be doing that. I am going to be focused on what I need to be focusing on. However, if a woman comes into my line of sight and I see her and I just say attractive and keep moving away, that's fine. But you have to change the perception. And part of changing the perception is about the way you make her feel about herself and the time and effort you put into to show her how much you desire her and want her, but most importantly, how you're going to make her feel safe.
Yeah. And I go back to, what is it she's looking for you to check in with, and how are you doing it? To me, it's like, I'm doing what I need to do for my recovery work. I'm checking with my sponsor about what, so there may be a way to communicate differently, and both of you should be checking in, not just you. It's like, it's communication for the two of you. So,
Right.
okay.
And he just put in the chat that it's not what he's doing. And I didn't say you were doing it. I said, this is her perception of what you're doing. And you have to change that perception.
Okay. So the next question, and they own, I don't know if this is an appropriate question. This is the place to ask these questions. So 6 months from D-Day, my partner and I engaged in intercourse for the first time recently. I believed my partner was engaged in solid sobriety and working through recovery, but now I'm struggling to trust that sense after sex because of the length of time my partner was able to last before orgasm. I am seeing his ability to last longer than expected as evidence that there is acting out that I didn't know about. At this point, I'm trying to seek information education. Is it common that this happens while the presence of acting out, or is this a red flag I'd be wise to heed?
Okay. So he's lasting longer, and you're wondering, is that because he's been having sex orgasm before he has sex with you, and therefore he can last longer? I don't know if that's the case. You don't know if that's the case either. I guess I go back to the idea of, what is he telling you about his recovery? What is the work that you're seeing being done in that area? 6 months from D-Day, I assume he still has his accountability software that's on his devices. Is that all coming back good? I hope you're not getting a report, but somebody else is. Okay. But the idea is, what kind of talk are we having about your fears? And to be able to say to him, it's interesting, because again, if he didn't last long before, but now all of a sudden you're lasting longer, what do you think that's all about? But I'm worried. And therefore, again, I think there's more dialogue that needs to happen between the two of you about this. But I don't know of any information or education that tells me that if you sustain for a period of time and then you come back, that a man can last longer than he has in the past. But again, you know what? It may be the way he's approaching sex with you. And therefore, maybe he is, more engaged with you as a person. And I think that's what you have to see, versus maybe before there was fantasy going on in his head, and he was looking at sex as just a physical act. Now maybe he's looking at it more as an emotional encounter, and therefore he can last longer. So, I think you need to do, again, not being accusatory, but just talk about and sharing what you're feeling and wanting to know more about what's going on in his head regarding sex with you.
And I'm going to key in on the point, because you said, I'm wondering if, there was or is, acting out that I didn't know about. If you haven't done a formal therapeutic disclosure with your qualified professionals yet, I hope that that's, I hope that that's forthcoming soon. I think that will help you help allay some of the fear. But I love what Eddie was talking about too. It's like, it's just being curious. I'm curious, or that was meaningful to whatever whatever is your truth. But it also, like, that was really meaningful. But then afterwards, I'm second guessing. Because it was different and all of that. There's also like the sensate focused
Yes.
touch, which is different, and that may be, you may want to back up a little bit and start with that, and as an experiential component, rather than intercourse. So there's
Mhm.
lots to unpack with this. I hope you are both working with qualified professionals, to help support you in the recovery. But I love hearing, he's, been 6 months, and you guys are, you this is a healing journey. It's not going to be without bumps and things along the way, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're
Mhm.
asking questions, and please, both of you be joining the drop-in groups on sexandrelationshiphealing.com,
No, I
as
gotta add
well
one
too.
more thing. One more thing I want to add.
Please.
You know what also may be going on is now you become intimate again, and there may be part of you that is frightened.
Hmm.
Okay. And therefore, now what you're doing is you're looking for something that could be possibly wrong. Because the last thing you want to do is suffer from the stupid girl syndrome. I let him
Mm,
back in and he screwed me over again. So that there may be a little bit of that going on too. I don't know.
yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
I would be talking to him in depth about what has sex been like now. What do you think of it? If it's different for you, be inquisitive and see what you get
Yeah.
from
Yeah. And you guys can talk about sex. It isn't just about sexual acting out. It's about, we're talking about this. This is, part of your journey. So, okay. Next question. When you share what you are learning and your betrayed partner comes back with what do you do when you share and feel you are criticized?
Okay. Well, you know what?
That's challenging.
Yeah, it is challenging. But what's happening here? I mean, why is she, doing what else? What else? Tell me more. What I want to know more. Is it because she's just sitting here saying, you know what, you're just lazy, you're worthless, you're just not doing enough, you've never invested all of this, versus, or if she's scared and she wants to make sure that you are learning everything you can about why you've done what you've done, and you now have the tools and the resources available to you, and that you can implement them successfully. That's what she's looking for. For you, it is that sense of move away from this idea that I'm being criticized. Okay, that's the unaffirmed child. That's working underneath, and instead to be able to stay focused on her feeling. Yes, I know you're looking for more from me right now, but he are you just telling her what you're doing? Or are you telling her this is what I'm learning? And this is how I think it's going to change me. I think this is how it's going to change the way I approach our relationship. I think it's going to change us. That's what you're really looking for.
And I think it's okay I know that my behaviors have hurt and been
Yeah.
so painful for you, but I'm looking to do this differently. I'm working on it. I'm not going to do it perfectly. Is there a way that I can answer your questions that will help keep it from being, when you say it that way, my reaction is that you're interrogating me or criticizing me, and I don't want to have that feeling because I want to be able to come to you truthfully. So is there a way
Mm.
we can do this differently that will keep us from going to these patterns? Because what I hear is, you share, he and she, says this, and then you do this, and it's just back and forth, and nothing changes. So I would invite you to have the discussion, not in the moment, about is there a way that we can do it differently so that your needs are getting met? I'm able to share with you honestly, but without going to that, the inner child, that is less helpful,
Mm.
but I love that you're here and you're asking. So, and hopefully your partner is too. So, okay. My SA wife is 15 months sober in 12-step and claims her side of the street is solid and clean. How important is drilling down to the root cause of her addiction as reasonably well as possible? We are trying to manage resources spent on specialists in therapy and trying to prioritize her CSAT couples or my betrayal trauma, picking 2 out of 3. I'm out of the crisis stage and in the grieving stage of recovery. Thanks for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Yes, really. And again, this is, I think it's always important to drill down. Okay. However, she's 15 months sober, doing her 12 step, doing her counseling. If you're feeling comfortable with where she is, if she's feeling comfortable, she's not taking her foot off the gas, she's still doing what she needs to do. Because of the financial concern, do you need to invest the money in there? Probably say probably not. I think, however, and I know Tammy always said books aren't always, they're not always the one, the thing that could have solved something. But the fact that she's done so much work, there are so many good books and resources that we have, including my Going Deeper. And even though that was written with the angle of men, it can be applied to women. And in fact, Tammy, I haven't shared with you yet, but I think we're actually going to be putting out a Going Deeper, book that's aimed toward women who deal with sex addiction and pornography. So
Excellent.
people have been asking that for a long time. So I would say, no, you don't have to, from a clinical perspective, go there. But I would still encourage her to maybe see if she can learn something on her own. And good luck. You guys look like you're really healing well. I hope it continues that way.
Well, and what I have seen, and I do love books. I mean, trust me, but I'm also wondering if, like, rather than all or nothing with, like, okay, like, is there okay, she sees her therapist, half as much, and then there's room for the couples therapy, like, or I know lots of people who work with both of their therapists to do some conjoint therapy for couples work, because both of your therapists know you, so it can kind of expedite things sometimes,
right.
For the two of you. So maybe once a month you meet with both, and then once a month you're meeting with each of your individuals. But if something starts to shift in a negative way, then you go, okay, that's not enough, support and care. We need to do more. So there's no magic recipe of like, at this point, do this. So you've got some good support, but so just see. But as soon as something, starts, if it doesn't feel like it's working, take note, and correct course immediately. So
I would definitely, though, I would keep your betrayal trauma stuff going right now. I think you need to stay in that counseling, and actually, if she stayed with her CSAT for a while, and maybe put the couples aside for a bit, but you guys together, you just talk things through. So that might be the way to before we jump right deep into the couples, maybe. But you have to continue doing your grieving. That part has to happen, and I'd be doing that with a competent professional.
Okay, next question. For me, the issue seems to be that I both objectify and get mesmerized with the same woman. The object attracts me, and then the mesmerization starts.
So now, again, like I said, this is not something from my conversations with men over the years that I've seen. However, I'm wondering about what attracts you. And again, does it attract you in the fact that, oh, she's attractive, and then the mesmerization start, versus there's a body part that you start to objectify. So I don't know what that is. All I know is that this is not common. However, you know what? I'm not going to say it doesn't happen to you. It could. Okay, everybody's different. Just because I haven't come across that, because like I said, there's two different hormones that are being activated here. And so therefore when you think you're objectifying, that may be just the idea that you are noticing, and that might still be all the oxytocin. Or maybe you're getting a quick hit of the dopamine, and then it turns into the oxytocin. So I don't know. The thing is this, stop it. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
No. But I love the Bob Newhart YouTube on that. But but neither one of them are serving you. So
no,
they are both problematic. So getting help, to stop it,
Yeah.
you know, and recognize people for, you know, the humanity that they are will
That
serve you well. So
that is the solution.
mhm,
Recognize them for what they are. They are people. Okay. Period. And therefore, and
mhm,
then to start to move away from that habit.
mhm. Next question. 2+ years post D-Day with many staggered disclosures. My husband is still using tools after he objectifies women in public. He tells me that he imagines them naked and having sex with them, but then he uses his tools to stop it when it happens. That is in just seconds. This feels like an excuse to continue acting out. What do you think? Yes, I
Well,
agree with you.
yeah, but also again, what could be here is that he's catching himself. So he looks at that. Imagine, I mean, taking more than just a few seconds, but then he realized,
Exactly.
right, taking more. So he's lingering too long, right? Damn it, he's definitely lingering too long. So he's not using his tools fast enough. So that part of it, that's what's going on. And he needs to be able to go back and sit with somebody to say, hey, how do you kick in what I'm supposed to be doing? And part of it has to be, again, the mindset that these people are not there for his gratification. They are not. And there are a lot of things that a lot of people use for tools. You know, if there's the guys, you sit there, and again, you prepare yourself before you go in public. You know what? These are children of God. You've all God's children. That's what I do. That's what, or there's, you know what? You know, that is not mine. That is not mine. There's people who say those kinds of things. There's lots of things you could do and say, but the problem is he's allowing it to linger too long, and he's not preparing himself. He's not using the tools prior to going out there. He has to go out there, you know, prepared. He's not prepared. So therefore he sees, ooh, and then all of a sudden he's trying to do something. So
Yeah, but he's letting himself like this is like yeah, that you know as soon as you you know it's 3 seconds, but it's not. I get to think about this for 3 seconds. You know, it's like a 3 seconds. It's I look, turn away. Like all of that happens in 3 seconds. This is like that's yeah. So
you know, guys, I just
what
want
he's doing for recovery. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Go ahead, finish.
I was gonna say what he's doing for recovery isn't enough. You
Yeah,
know, if he's seeing a therapist once a week, twice a week, what is he doing? You know, 12-step meetings, like talking to a sponsor every day. Like he's in he's in the sitting on the fence phase where he's not really in recovery and not maybe full blown acting out, but
right.
he's, you know, sitting on the fence. So
He needs a game plan for what does he do when he goes out in public. That's what
mhm,
he needs. You have to set up a
mhm.
game plan. You have to practice that game plan. You have to put it. Remember, it's about managing the disorder. It's not about curing the disorder. First of all, I just want to say this because we're almost out of
Yeah,
time.
we're out of
I just want
time.
to
Yeah.
say we're out of time. I just want to say thank you for all the questions. I wish, you know, we could
Come
answer
back
all
next
of
month.
them.
Yes.
Come
Yeah.
back next month and I will be more than happy. In fact, maybe next time we'll just do, well, I didn't realize we had like 65 people in the room today. I didn't
Yes.
realize we'd have so many questions. So maybe next time I'll just do a Q&A to help
Well,
people, but
we'll
I'm
see, because you
sorry.
were going to do that once before, and
I know.
then you came up with.
I always got
I love
something
your
to
topic.
say.
I know. I'm grateful for that. But one more thing, if like with this person, I had another thought. I don't think this is the only thing he's doing. This is the thing that you know about, but there's too many staggered disclosures and things. So I suspect that they're like, trust your gut. There's probably more going on. So, but yes,
Yeah.
for those of you that joined us, thank you so much.
And I'm sorry, Katie. I'm sorry, Eleanor. I can't get back to you,
Yeah,
Eleanor. I'll get
yeah.
back to you though. We'll figure this stuff out. So, but
Okay.
anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here, and I hope you got a lot out of it today. And I will be back next month.
And I'm going to send you a Zoom link right now so that we can work in your virtual. So
Very good.
we'll stop this and I'll send you another one. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.